The Grand Hall of Remembrance aboard the Galactic Conclave Station pulsed with the soft murmur of hundreds of species gathered for what many considered long overdue: the official declaration of humanity's extinction. Crystalline chandeliers suspended from the vaulted ceiling cast prismatic light across the assembled dignitaries, their varied anatomies draped in ceremonial garb signifying mourning across 1,000 different cultural traditions. General Zix of the Vex Imperium stood at the obsidian podium, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming with military decorations. The 4 eyes arranged symmetrically across his angular face surveyed the crowd with barely concealed satisfaction. 3 centuries have passed. His translator module conveyed in standard Galactic, the original clicking of his mandible still audible underneath. 3 centuries since the necessary pacification of Sol 3. Earth, as the humans called it. The Imperium acted with regret but certainty to neutralize a demonstrable threat to galactic stability. In the 3rd row, Ambassador Tilana of the Arcturian Confederation shifted uncomfortably. The tentacles framing her face curled inward, a gesture of disagreement among her kind. She had been young when the war ended, but she remembered the human diplomatic envoys who had visited her homeworld. They had been passionate, unpredictable, but hardly the existential danger the Vex portrayed. The humans were resourceful, General Zix continued, but ultimately, their biological fragility and technological limitations proved insurmountable against superior civilization. We honor their memory as we would any extinct species that once showed promise. From a private viewing chamber overlooking the hall, Krelvos watched with academic interest. The xenorchaeologist had dedicated his career to studying human artifacts and culture. Unlike most, he found the timing of this ceremony peculiar. Why wait 3 centuries to declare what most believed obvious? His research suggested the humans had been more adaptive than historical records indicated. The final ships fleeing Earth were tracked and neutralized, Zix declared, tapping a control that projected a holographic display of the Sol system. Red markers indicated destruction points of human vessels. No colony survived our cleansing protocol. Today, we officially record humanity as extinct, joining the progenitors and Kalendar in the great archive of fallen civilizations. A respectful silence fell across the hall as representatives rose for the galactic moment of acknowledgement. A 13-second pause representing the average lifespan of ascension species in cosmic terms. At precisely 11 seconds, the lights flickered. At 12, they failed completely. Confused murmurs rippled through the darkness. Emergency luminescence activated with a dull amber glow, revealing concerned faces and defensive postures. General Zix barked orders to his security detail. At 13 seconds, when the moment of acknowledgement should have concluded, every display screen and holographic projector in the hall simultaneously activated, bathing the chamber in harsh blue light. A human woman appeared on every surface, mid-40s by their biological standards, her dark hair streaked with silver and pulled back severely from a face marked with what Krelvos recognized as battle scars. She wore a uniform of unfamiliar design, midnight blue with silver insignia that matched no known human military record in the archives. "You celebrated too soon," she said calmly, her voice perfectly modulated through the station's audio system. Her eyes seemed to meet every gaze in the room individually. The eulogy was premature. General Zix snarled, mandibles flaring in threat display. "Identify yourself, projection. This sacrilege dishonors." "I am Admiral Elena Reyes of the United Darkworld Fleet," she interrupted, "and humanity is not extinct. We merely learned to embrace the darkness you thought had consumed us." The station's tracking systems erupted with proximity alerts. On every command console, sensors detected hundreds of vessels suddenly appearing throughout conclave space, materializing as if from nowhere, their stealth technology having rendered them completely invisible until this precise moment. Ambassador Tilana rose from her seat, tentacles fully extended in alarm. "Impossible," she whispered. "No species could hide for 3 centuries." Admiral Reyes smiled, the expression not quite reaching her eyes. "You presumed us extinct because we allowed it. The time for hiding has ended. Humanity has returned, and we bring urgent news that concerns us all." The image zoomed out to reveal she stood on the bridge of a massive vessel unlike any design in Conclave records. "Your extinction ceremony," Rice continued, "will now become a resurrection. Prepare for contact." The transmission ended, plunging the hall back into emergency lighting. In the stunned silence that followed, Krelvos felt a surge of vindication and terror. His research hadn't been in vain. Humanity had survived. But what had they become during their long absence from the galactic stage? Outside the viewing port, the first human ships began to decloak directly above the Conclave station, their massive hulls blotting out the stars. Krelvos's private museum of human artifacts occupied a forgotten sublevel of Nexus Station, the scholarly district of the Conclave. 3 hours after the dramatic interruption of the extinction ceremony, he rushed through its entrance, cardiac pulses racing beneath his scaled skin. "Security override. Voss Prime Alpha," he gasped, sealing the doors behind him. Through 4 decades of research, he had assembled the largest collection of human relics outside official archives. Items dismissed as worthless by authorities, but priceless to him. As the lights activated, revealing glass display cases and preservation fields, Krelvos froze. Someone was already inside. A figure in matte black combat gear stood before the central exhibit. A quantum drive salvaged from a destroyed human vessel. The intruder's helmet retracted with a pneumatic hiss, revealing distinctly human features. Female, with close-cropped dark hair and angular features marked by a jagged scar running from temple to jaw. "Fascinating collection," she remarked, studying him with unnerving intensity. "You've preserved pieces of our history even we thought lost." Krelvos's translator struggled with her accent, an evolutionary drift from standard human speech patterns. "You're actually human," he managed, secondary eyelids flicking in astonishment. "Not a hologram or synthetic." "Lieutenant Maya Chen, Central Intelligence Division." She tapped the quantum drive's case. "I need this particular item." "That drive is completely non-functional," Krelvos protested, scholarly instincts overriding fear. "I've spent years attempting to." A thunderous explosion rocked the station, throwing them both against the display cases. Alarm klaxons wailed as emergency containment fields activated. "They're here sooner than expected," Maya muttered, helmet reforming around her head. She drew a weapon of unfamiliar design. "Vex hunter-killers. They've been monitoring your research for months." "The Vex, but why would they?" "Because you were getting too close to the truth." She shattered the quantum drive's case with her elbow, retrieving the device. "They've been systematic in eliminating anyone researching human technology. You're next on their list." The security door buckled under concentrated energy fire. Maya grabbed Krelvos by his ceremonial collar. "2 choices, die here or come with me." Before he could respond, the door disintegrated. 3 Vex soldiers stormed through, their combat exoskeletons bristling with weapons. Maya fired her strange pistol. Instead of energy bolts, it released concentric rings that temporarily distorted space around the lead soldier, causing him to implode with a sickening crunch. "Impossible technology," Krelvos whispered. Maya dragged him toward a maintenance shaft. "Dimensional compression. We've been busy during our exile." They sprinted through service corridors as station-wide announcements blared warnings about Vex forces boarding under diplomatic immunity to contain a security threat. Maya's communicator pulsed as they reached a deserted docking bay. "Chen reporting. Package secured. But I have a companion, the researcher Krelvos. He's maintained a significant cache of artifacts and has been marked for elimination." A small shuttle decloaked before them, its design flowing and organic rather than the angular military vessels displayed earlier. The hatch spiraled open. "Command authorizes extraction," a voice responded. "Admiral Rice wants to speak with him anyway." Krelvos hesitated at the threshold. "Why reveal yourselves now, after centuries of hiding?" Maya's expression softened momentarily, because the Vex were never our real enemy. They were just the convenient monsters who drove us into the darkness where we could prepare. Prepare for what? The station shuddered again as more explosions echoed. Maya pulled him aboard as the hatch sealed. For something that hunts between the stars, she answered, strapping into the pilot's seat. Something that's been following a trail of extinct civilizations across the galaxy. Something that finds advanced species by tracking their energy signatures, which is why we learn to live in the dark. The shuttle disengaged, cloaking immediately. Through the viewport, Krelvos watched Vex cruisers surrounding the conclave station, but beyond them, barely visible, the massive silhouettes of human vessels held position. Not attacking, not retreating, but waiting with the patience of predators who had learned to hunt from shadow. The Vex didn't defeat us, Maya said, plotting a course away from the station. They just helped us evolve. Maya's shuttle dropped out of faster-than-light transit in what appeared to be empty space. No stars, no planets, just the absolute void between systems. Krelvos pressed his face against the viewport, confusion evident in his rapidly blinking tertiary eyes. "There's nothing here," he said. Maya smiled. "That's the point." She activated a sequence on her control panel, and the shuttle broadcast a signal unlike anything Krelvos had encountered. Not radio, not quantum, but something that seemed to bend the fabric of reality itself around them. Space rippled, then parted like a curtain. Krelvos gasped as an immense structure materialized before them, a hollowed-out asteroid at least 20 kilometers in diameter. Its exterior was studded with recessed hangar bays and observation domes, while the interior glowed with the soft light of an artificial day cycle. It wasn't alone. As his eyes adjusted, he discerned dozens, then hundreds of similar structures, some smaller, some vastly larger, arranged in a three-dimensional geometric pattern. "Welcome to Darkworld Alpha," Maya said. "First and largest of humanity's mobile habitats." The shuttle glided toward a docking bay, where other vessels were arranged with military precision. 3 centuries ago, as the Vex closed in on Earth, we executed Operation Nightfall, the evacuation of 17 million humans to pre-prepared asteroid habitats. The Vex tracked decoy ships while our actual evacuation vessels used experimental phase shift technology. "You've been hiding in rogue planetoids," Krelvos realized. Objects drifting between stars, naturally dark, naturally cold. "Natural stealth," Maya confirmed as they docked. "We've expanded to 437 dark worlds, with a total population of just over 3 billion. The airlock cycled, revealing a reception area where a delegation awaited. Unlike Maya's military bearing, these humans wore flowing garments in midnight blue with silver threading that seemed to capture and amplify the available light. Krelvos immediately noted physiological differences from historical human records. They were taller, paler, with larger eyes adapted to lower light conditions. "The Isolationist Council is displeased," a tall woman informed Maya, ignoring Krelvos entirely. "You were authorized to retrieve the quantum drive, not expose us further by bringing outsiders." "Councillor Patel," Maya nodded respectfully. "Admiral Rai has authorized this extraction." The Vex were eliminating him regardless. Councillor Patel's severe expression didn't soften. "The Vex eliminate many threats. We cannot save them all." "His research is vital," Maya insisted. "He's preserved technologies we thought lost in the Exodus." An alarm blared before the argument could continue. The humans tensed collectively, their movements synchronized with practiced efficiency as they accessed information through implants Krelvos could now see embedded at their temples. "Sabotage in Habitat Core 7, Councillor Patel announced. "Isolationist faction is making their statement." Maya grabbed Krelvos again. "We need to move. The isolationists would rather destroy the fleet than reveal ourselves to the galaxy." They rushed through corridors where panicked civilians headed for evacuation zones. Krelvos marveled at the infrastructure: gardens growing without sunlight, water recycling systems of incredible efficiency, and gravity manipulation beyond any known technology. "How did you advance so quickly?" he asked as they entered a transit tube. "Necessity," Maya answered as the magnetic capsule accelerated. "Without planets to exploit or suns to harness, we had to develop technologies that worked in darkness and void. We learned to tap dimensional energy, to manipulate gravity fields, to create closed ecosystems that could sustain generations." The capsule emerged into a massive central chamber where hundreds of uniformed personnel coordinated crisis response. At the center, a holographic display showed the damaged habitat core and the spreading radiation breach that threatened thousands. A commanding figure stood before the display, Admiral Elena Reyes, her actual presence even more imposing than her earlier hologram. She turned as they approached, eyes immediately focusing on Krelvos. "So you're the xenorchaeologist who's been collecting our past," she said. "Welcome aboard. I apologize for the chaotic reception, but it seems our timing was fortuitous. The isolationists have forced our hand." "How so?" Krelvos asked. Rise gestured to the holographic display where the radiation pattern formed an unmistakable symbol, the same mark found on ancient Vex warning beacons. "Because now," she said grimly, "we're broadcasting a signal that will attract exactly what we've been hiding from for 3 centuries." Commander Vrax of the Vex Imperium's elite eradication corps stood motionless on the bridge of his flagship, the inevitable conclusion. His exoskeleton, unlike the standard Vex chitinous armor, was augmented with neural interfaces and enhanced sensory apparatus, the result of 3 centuries of biotechnological advancement dedicated to one purpose: hunting the last vestiges of humanity. "They were never extinct," he stated flatly to the High Command hologram. "I have maintained this position for 147 standard cycles." The High Commander's mandibles clicked in agitation. "Your obsession has been tolerated because of your otherwise exemplary service record, Commander. But now we have confirmation. Humans not only survived, but have built a civilization in secret. The quantum signature from their fleet matches nothing in our database." Vrax noted, examining the sensor readings from the Conclave station. "They have developed technologies unknown to the Imperium. Find their home base and eliminate it," the High Commander ordered. "The humans were dangerous primitives before. Whatever they've become during their isolation represents an unacceptable threat." As the transmission ended, Vrax activated the ship's hunting protocol. "They hide in darkness," he murmured to himself. "So we shall bring light to every shadow." Aboard Darkworld Alpha, Admiral Rise led Krelvos and Lieutenant Chen to a secured research facility deep within the asteroid's core. The radiation breach had been contained, but the Darkworld fleet was on high alert, preparing for immediate relocation. The isolationists didn't realize what they were doing, Rise explained as they passed through multiple security checkpoints. "They wanted to prevent our revelation to the galaxy, but they've inadvertently created a beacon." "A beacon for what?" Krelvos asked. Instead of answering directly, Rise brought them into a spherical chamber where a team of scientists surrounded Dr. Sanjay Kapur, a slender man with cybernetic augmentations visible along his spine and skull. "Show him," Rise commanded. Dr. Kapur activated a dimensional viewer. Unlike holographic technology, it opened what appeared to be a window into another layer of reality. Through it, Krelvos saw swirling patterns of energy that made his visual receptors ache. "This is dimensionally shifted space," Dr. Kapur explained. "A plane of existence adjacent to our own, but normally imperceptible. During our exile, we developed the ability to perceive and eventually interact with this dimensional layer." The view shifted to reveal an abandoned research station, unmistakably Vex in design. "This facility was discovered 3 decades ago in deep space," Rice continued. "It contained archives dating back thousands of years, records the Vex Imperium kept hidden from the Galactic Conclave." Dr. Kapur manipulated the controls, revealing ancient data streams. "The Vex didn't attack Earth out of imperial ambition. They attacked because their long-range sensors detected something in human neurophysiology, an evolutionary development that terrified them. What development? Krell Voss asked. The potential for dimensional consciousness, Maya answered. Humans were beginning to perceive beyond standard spacetime. The Vex had encountered this before, in species that were subsequently consumed. A new image appeared in the viewer, vast, sinuous shapes moving between stars, visible only as distortions against the cosmic background. The Vex call them the Void Leviathans, Dr. Kapper said. Entities that exist primarily in dimensional space but feed on conventional energy. They're drawn to civilizations that reach certain technological thresholds, particularly those developing dimensional awareness. Krellvoss felt his blood cool in shock, and the Vex believe humans were developing this awareness. They were right, Rise confirmed grimly. But instead of helping prepare, they tried to eliminate us, driving us into the very darkness where we could evolve the abilities they feared. An alarm klaxon interrupted them. A communications officer burst into the chamber. Admiral, Vex hunter-killer squads have entered the Carina Nebula. They're using some sort of radiation sweep to detect our energy signatures. Reyes's expression hardened. How many ships? 37, led by the inevitable conclusion. Maya inhaled sharply. Commander Vrax. Who is Vrax? Krellvoss asked, sensing the sudden tension. The most dangerous Vex alive, Rise answered. He never believed we were extinct. He's been hunting us for centuries, and now he's picked up our trail. The dimensional viewer suddenly fluctuated, the image of cosmic distortions growing more pronounced. The radiation from the sabotage, Dr. Kapper whispered. It's creating a dimensional ripple. If Vrax doesn't find us first. Rise completed his thought. The Leviathans will. The Dark World fleet scattered across the Carina Nebula, executing emergency protocols developed over centuries of living in stealth. Massive habitats engaged dimensional shifting drives, partially phasing out of conventional space to mask their energy signatures. Smaller vessels deployed as decoys, creating false trails to confuse the pursuing Vex hunters. Aboard Dark World Alpha, the quantum drive that Maya had recovered from Krellvoss's museum now sat in a specialized containment field within Dr. Kapper's laboratory. The device, scorched and damaged from the ancient war, had seemed non-functional for decades. Now it pulsed with faint luminescence. It's responding to the dimensional fluctuations, Dr. Kapper explained, neural implants streaming data directly to his visual cortex. This isn't just a propulsion system. It's a dimensional resonator. Admiral Rise studied the readouts with narrowed eyes. Can it help us? Possibly, Kapper replied. Before Earth fell, our scientists were developing technology to shield our energy signatures from detection. This prototype might contain the original algorithms. Krellvoss approached the drive, fascination overriding caution. I spent years studying this artifact, but never detected any energy signature. Because you weren't looking in the right dimension, Maya said from the doorway. The Vex fleet has split into hunting parties. Vrax is being methodical, quartering the nebula into search grids. The ship shuddered violently, throwing them against restraints. Emergency lights activated as gravity temporarily fluctuated. Direct hit on outer hull, Section 4, a technician reported. Hunter Scout located us. Rise barked orders for evasive maneuvers as Kapper frantically worked to extract data from the quantum drive. Krellvoss watched in fascination as the human cybernetic implants interfaced directly with the ancient technology, creating feedback loops of information that flowed too quickly for conventional processing. There's something else here, Kapper whispered, his pupils dilating. Not just shielding algorithms, but a resonance pattern. It was designed to. The quantum drive suddenly pulsed with blinding intensity. A wave of energy rippled outward, passing through solid matter as if it didn't exist. When it touched the humans in the room, they simultaneously gasped, their eyes widening, bodies tensing. What's happening? Krellvoss demanded, unaffected by the energy wave, but alarmed by its impact on the humans. No one answered. Every human stood frozen, eyes unfocused, experiencing something beyond his perception. Miles away, aboard his command vessel, Commander Vrax felt triumph as his scout ship pinpointed one of the human habitats. He opened a channel to the hunting fleet. Convergence coordinates transmitted. All vessels. His orders died in his mandibles as sensors detected a massive energy surge unlike anything in Imperial records. The scout ship's transmissions abruptly terminated, not destroyed, but simply gone. What just happened? His second-in-command demanded. Vrax's compound eyes narrowed. They've activated something ancient, something worse than themselves. Inside the laboratory, Admiral Rice collapsed to her knees, blood trickling from her nose. Around her, other humans were similarly affected, some unconscious, others disoriented. Maya managed to remain standing, though her face had gone pale. "What did you see?" Krelvos asked, helping Rice to a seat. "Everything," she whispered. "We were connected, not just to each other, but to the dimensional plane. We could perceive." Her voice trailed off. Dr. Capper recovered enough to check his instruments. The quantum drive created a temporary network across all humans within the fleet, a shared consciousness. And in that state, Maya continued, voice shaking, we could see them. On the laboratory's main display, Capper brought up sensor readings that showed massive distortions moving through dimensional space. Dozens of them, converging on the nebula from different directions. The void leviathans, Rice confirmed, wiping blood from her face. They're larger than we thought, older than we imagined, and they're coming faster than we predicted. But we gained something else from the connection, Maya added, a strange light in her eyes. The drive didn't just show us the leviathans. It awakened something in us. The very ability the Vex feared. To demonstrate, she held out her hand. Above her palm, a small distortion appeared, a ripple in reality itself that she was somehow controlling. Dimensional manipulation, Capper breathed. The final evolutionary step the Vex tried to prevent. A proximity alarm wailed. Vrax's flagship had located them. "We need to move," Rise ordered, forcing herself to her feet. "But now we have 2 hunters pursuing us, and only one of them can be fought with conventional weapons." Commander Vrax's flagship, the inevitable conclusion, locked weapons on Darkworld Alpha's position. His tactical display showed 5 additional hunter vessels converging, forming the perfect killbox that had eliminated countless human settlements during the war. Victory seemed inevitable, until every sensor array on his ship simultaneously overloaded. "Impossible interference pattern," his tactical officer reported, mandibles clicking in distress. "They're bending sensor waves around their habitat." Before Vrax could respond, a priority alert screamed across all frequencies, not from his fleet, but from the Vex homeworld itself. The message came encoded with the highest emergency protocols, something not used in over 7 centuries. The holographic projector displayed the Vex Imperial Palace under attack, not by human forces, but by something that defied conventional description. Massive distortions rippled through buildings, converting solid matter into energy that was rapidly consumed. Billions of Vex civilians fled through streets as reality itself seemed to unravel around them. "Void Leviathan," Vrax whispered, ancestral memory recognizing what most of his species have forgotten. "They've awakened a Void Leviathan." His second-in-command chittered nervously. "Our orders are to eliminate the humans. Our homeworld is under attack." Vrax interrupted, mandibles flexing in what the Vex rarely displayed. "Fear. The humans are secondary now." Aboard Darkworld Alpha, Admiral Rise reviewed the same transmission, intercepted by their intelligence division. The command center had been converted to accommodate Krelvos, with atmospheric adjustments for his physiology. "The first Leviathan has manifested fully in normal space," Dr. Capper confirmed, monitoring dimensional readings. The radiation pulse from our sabotage incident created a beacon that drew it directly to the strongest energy source in this sector. "The Vex homeworld," Rise finished grimly. with its planetary shield generators and industrial complexes. Maya approached, her movements subtly altered since the quantum drive incident. Like many humans aboard, she now exhibited enhanced dimensional awareness, perceiving reality layers invisible to others. Vrax's fleet has altered course, she reported. They're abandoning pursuit to return to their homeworld. Estimated travel time at maximum FTL, 27 hours. By which time there might not be a homeworld left, Krell Voss noted. I've studied obscure xenorchaeological records of similar incidents in distant galaxies. Once a Leviathan manifests fully, it can convert an entire planetary system into energy within days. Reyes paced the command center, the weight of 3 centuries of leadership evident in her posture. Options. Councillor Patel, speaking for the isolationist faction, was immediate. Let the Vex fall. They tried to exterminate us. Cosmic justice that they face extinction themselves. Murmurs of agreement rippled through some officers, but Maya stepped forward. The Leviathans don't stop with one civilization. Once they manifest in our dimension, they continue consuming until opposed. Besides, Krell Voss added, the Conclave Station is in the same sector. Billions of lives from hundreds of species are at risk. Reyes nodded, decision made. What would we need to do? Dr. Capper activated a holographic model of the quantum drive. The resonator technology could theoretically disrupt the Leviathan's dimensional anchoring, force it partially back into its native plane where it can't feed on conventional energy. But we would need to deploy it directly at the manifestation point, Maya added, on the Vex homeworld. A heavy silence fell over the command center. Prepare the flagship, Reyes finally ordered, and open a channel to Commander Vrax. Vrax's response to the unexpected communication was predictable. Threats, accusations, promises of retribution. He fell silent only when Reyes explained what they faced and what humanity proposed. You expect me to believe you would save the species that attempted your genocide? He demanded. Reyes's holographic image showed no emotion. We're not saving you for your sake. We're preventing the Leviathans from gaining a stronger foothold in this dimension. Why should I trust humans? Because unlike the Vex, Reyes responded, we understand there are predators so terrible that natural enemies must stand together or fall separately. The tactical display showed the inevitable conclusion alongside 4 Darkworld vessels, accelerating beyond safe FTL parameters toward the Vex homeworld. We were wrong about your extinction. Vrax finally conceded. Were we wrong about your threat level as well? Reyes's answer was simple. You feared what we might become. Now you'll see if that fear was justified. When we arrive at your homeworld in 8 hours, the combined fleet of human and Vex vessels dropped out of FTL at the edge of the Vex home system. What greeted them defied description, a spectacle of cosmic horror that silenced even the most battle-hardened warriors. The Void Leviathan had manifested as a colossal, undulating distortion nearly the size of a small moon. It rippled through space-time like a serpent swimming through water, its form constantly shifting between states of matter and energy. Where it touched planetary bodies, they simply unraveled, converted to pure energy that flowed into the creature's maw. Magnethex, the third moon, is already gone, reported a Vex tactical officer aboard Vrax's flagship, where Admiral Reyes and her team had transferred to coordinate the joint operation. Krell Voss studied sensor readings with growing dread. It's consuming at an exponential rate. The homeworld has perhaps 7 hours before total conversion. The Vex capital planet below showed massive evacuation efforts underway, millions of ships fleeing the surface while the planetary defense grid fired uselessly at the Leviathan. Each weapon impact simply passed through the entity or was absorbed, adding to its mass. The quantum resonator is our only option, Dr. Capper said, connecting the recovered drive to Vrax's tactical systems. But its effect radius is limited. We'll need to deploy it directly at the creature's dimensional anchor point. Which is where? Vrax demanded. Maya stepped forward, her newly awakened dimensional perception allowing her to see what others couldn't. There, She pointed to a swirling vortex near the creature's center. That's where it's most strongly connected to our reality. Commander Vrax's compound eyes reflected the tactical display. A direct approach is impossible. Nothing survives inside its conversion field. Not entirely true, Rice countered. Our dark world habitats are partially phase-shifted. They might withstand the field long enough to deploy the resonator. Might. Vrax clicked his mandibles. It's a one-way mission, Rice acknowledged. Lieutenant Chen stepped forward. I'll pilot the insertion vessel. Rice shook her head. Your dimensional abilities make you too valuable for what comes next. I'll take the resonator myself. Krelvos, who had been silently analyzing the sensor data, suddenly straightened. There's another option. The ancient records I studied mentioned a precursor technology that could amplify dimensional effects. The Vex Imperial Archives might contain the specifications. Vrax balked. The archives are in the Imperial Palace, directly beneath the Leviathan's current position. Then we need a small team to infiltrate the surface. Maya insisted. A stealth insertion while the main fleet creates a diversion. Impossible, one of Vrax's officers objected. The surface radiation levels air. Survivable for humans with our adapted physiology. Maya interrupted. Our centuries in the void have changed us. I'll lead the team. Reyes considered the options, the weight of command visible in her eyes. Krelvos, you're the only one who knows what we're looking for in those archives. Are you willing to accompany Lieutenant Chen? The xenoarchaeologist's scales rippled with nervous energy, but he nodded firmly. My entire career has prepared me for this moment. Within the hour, a stealth vessel detached from the flagship, carrying Maya, Krelvos, and a team of 4 human specialists with the most developed dimensional abilities. They slipped past the Leviathan's perimeter as the combined fleet launched a coordinated attack on the entity's outer reaches, not to damage it, but to distract it. As their small craft approached the devastated surface of the Vex homeworld, Maya reached out and briefly touched Krelvos's scaled hand, an unprecedented gesture between their species. Why did you really agree to this? She asked quietly. Krelvos's tertiary eyelids fluttered in what humans might recognize as wistful contemplation. For the same reason your people emerged from hiding. Some threats transcend old hatreds. Through the viewport, the Imperial Palace loomed ahead, its grand architecture now twisted by dimensional distortions, with the massive form of the Leviathan hovering directly above. We have 1 hour, Maya told her team as they prepared for landing. Find the technology, transmit the specifications to the fleet, and get out before the palace is completely converted. She didn't mention the obvious, that their odds of extraction were virtually non-existent. Some missions were worth the ultimate sacrifice, especially when facing extinction. Whatever happens below, Krelvos said, checking his environmental suit, history will remember that humans and Vex finally fought together. If there's anyone left to remember history, Maya replied grimly as their ship touched down on the crumbling landing pad. The Imperial archives beneath the Vex Palace were a labyrinth of crystalline data structures, now fracturing under dimensional stress. Maya's team moved swiftly through collapsing corridors as reality itself warped around them. Above, the Leviathan continued its feast, converting the once mighty capital into pure energy. There, Krelvos pointed to an ancient section marked with warning glyphs. The Forbidden Archives, containing technologies deemed too dangerous for use. The sealed vault required Vex genetic authentication. Maya turned to Krelvos. Can you bypass it? No need. He produced a small vial containing a tissue sample. Commander Vrax provided this before our departure. Perhaps he's more pragmatic than his reputation suggests. The doors hissed open, revealing a repository of artifacts from civilizations long extinct. Krelvos moved with academic precision, despite the urgency, identifying and dismissing technologies until he found what they sought. A crystalline matrix emitting frequencies that made human perception waver. The Phyrexian amplifier, he breathed. Theoretical specifications won't be enough. We need the actual device. As they secured the artifact, the building shuddered violently. Their communications officer reported grimly. The Leviathan has noticed our energy signatures. It's diverting attention from the fleet. Maya made a swift decision. Begin evacuation. I'll ensure the amplifier reaches the surface. When Krelvos moved to accompany her, she shook her head. Your knowledge must survive. Go with the others. A rare expression of emotion crossed his alien features. The humans were right to reveal themselves. You've proven more worthy of survival than those who try to exterminate you. Maya managed a tight smile. Let's make sure we all survive. Now go. In orbit, the combined fleet executed a desperate gambit. Admiral Rice had transferred the quantum resonator to a specialized deployment vessel, essentially a missile large enough to carry the device directly to the Leviathan's anchor point. The amplifier's specifications, transmitted from the surface team, had been incorporated into the final calibrations. Surface team reports the artifact is secured, a communications officer announced, but extraction is compromised. Lieutenant Chen is attempting manual delivery to the rendezvous point. Commander Vrax, standing beside Reyes on the bridge, observed quietly, Your officer is sacrificing herself. It's what humans do, Reyes replied without emotion. We endure. The tactical display showed Maya's life signs, moving alone through the collapsing palace as the rest of her team reached the extraction vessel. The Leviathan had sensed the amplifier's dimensional resonance and was now converging directly above her position. Diversion fleet, execute attack pattern Prometheus, Reyes ordered. The remaining Darkworld vessels accelerated toward the Leviathan, their dimensional drives creating ripples in spacetime that momentarily distracted the entity. On the surface, Maya reached the designated coordinates, the amplifier clutched against her chest. The extraction ship couldn't approach. The dimensional distortions were too severe. She activated her communications implant one final time. Amplifier ready for remote activation. Integration with resonator deployment should create a cascading effect. It's been an honor, Admiral. The honor is ours, Lieutenant, Reyes responded, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Maya placed the amplifier on the ground, then used her newly awakened abilities to create a dimensional bubble around it, a temporary shield against the Leviathan's conversion field. As the massive entity descended toward her position, she stood her ground, maintaining the shield through sheer force of will. Resonator deployment in 3, 2, 1. The deployment vessel struck the Leviathan's anchor point precisely as Maya activated the amplifier. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a blinding flash erupted from both contact points as technologies separated by millennia synchronized, creating a dimensional cascade that rippled outward. The Leviathan's form distorted, stretched, and began folding in upon itself, forced back into its native dimensional plane. Its death throes sent shockwaves through the system, disrupting communications and damaging vessels within range. When sensors finally cleared, the entity was gone. In its place, a stable dimensional rift remained, a permanent scar in reality, but contained. 3 days later, as the combined fleet assessed their losses, a weak transmission came from the devastated Palace District. This is Lieutenant Maya Chen, requesting extraction. The dimensional inversion created a pocket of slowed time. Also, I'm not alone. The recovery team found her sheltering in the ruins with hundreds of Vex civilians who had been caught in the same temporal anomaly, former enemies united in survival. As a battered but triumphant Krelvos helped Maya aboard the rescue vessel, he noted something unprecedented. Representatives from every major species watching in respectful silence as the humans who had erupted from darkness now stood in the light, no longer extinct, no longer hiding, but changed in ways that would reshape galactic civilization forever.